Good morning. Welcome back to the All Seasons channel. Today, Cameron and I are working on this gigantic pop-up. It has a broken cable, and we're gonna get that thing raised up. Not sure. I'm not even sure be able to open this thing up in here. Slide the beds out on end. This bay is almost 30 feet deep, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure this thing's going to open. I'll measure the box length of this thing here in a little bit. That's the biggest pop-up I've ever seen in my life. So twin axle, air conditioner, luggage rack. I mean, holy schmoly. Anyhow, we're going to tear into it. We're going to take you along. Make sure everything's staying nice and straight. You're about to run out of room too. All right, hold up. Me and Cameron got it raised up to the proper height. It really takes more than one person. As you hopefully was able to see, we got one broken cable, so the crank still worked on three corners, and we just used a floor jack and a 2x4 to raise up the broken corner. And now we have cut 4 equal length props that we're going to put on each corner. And we started up here on this front corner. I got my initial measurement for my props from this corner up here, because that's the corner that has the stop cable on it. So we went up until the stop cable, the indicator cable, maybe a better word for it, is telling us that we're at full height. So the canvas is fairly taut, and so that's where we got our measurement. And for this one, it happens to be 42 1/4 inches. So I cut 4 props, 42 1/4 inches, and You don't have to, but I've always cut a little V in them so that when we put them in, you'll see when we put them in that they fit the top of the camper and less likely for them to fall out on us, because when you're working on these cables, you have to get the pop-up up, you have to prop it, then you have to take the tension off the cables a little bit, then you can start working on it. So now we're going to put the props in. So this is the corner where we have a broken cable, and this pop-up even has a slide. And how long was that box, Cameron? 15, almost 15 feet?
Yeah.
The box on this camper was almost 15 feet long, and as you can see, it did fit inside the 30-foot bay, but man, it's still a monster. But now we got to get this slide out pulled out, because we got to access all the cables and stuff. We need to take these cabinets apart probably, and to be able to access all the cables and the brackets and everything. See what's up. You know what? We probably just push it from the inside. Yeah, that should be good enough, I guess. As you can see, somebody has been here before me. All the cables have been replaced before because they don't come with clamps. They have furls. So I am probably going to recommend to this guy that we just go ahead and replace all 4 cables. It's one thing I like to do. The factory uses 1/4 inch eye bolts. I like to drill those plates out and put 5/16 eye bolts. And usually what we will see is these eye bolts will separate here. So I like to weld those eyes together so that they don't separate. These are not, surprisingly enough. But now we need to look back in here and probably have to take this cabinet apart and see if we got any of our brackets or pulleys or anything are bad. So let me see what we're going to have to do there. Okay, I can see back here we do have a bracket that's bent, and that's the one that has the broken cable. So somebody probably replaced all the cables, but they did not. That bracket was probably already bent, I would assume, and they did not fix the bracket. They just put new cables on it, and guess what? It broke the cable again. I don't believe I've ever recabled a pop-up that I couldn't figure out why it broke the cable. Either a bent bracket, a bad pulley, or something. There's always something that causes a broken cable. So if you ever break a cable on your pop-up, you can't just replace the cable and expect it to last. You have to fix the root problem also. So now we've got to take this cabinet apart so I can get to that bracket, get that bracket out of there and see how bad it's bent. I mean, maybe something we can straighten, put some braces on, or have to order a new bracket. It's hard to say for sure, but we got to get this cabinet out of here first. Hey Cameron.
Yeah.
The crank handle out there. Turn that counterclockwise, probably a couple turns.
Okay.
I'll holler when you've went far enough.
Okay. counterclockwise. Okay, that's good. That releases the tension on all these cables. So they're still, even though we got it propped up, they still have quite a bit of tension on them. Alright, I'm not going to be able to get video of this because I can't get the camera and the drill back here at the same time, but I'm going to take these screws out of this cabinet, and this cabinet should get right out of her way. Alright, this is the bracket right here, and as you can see, but apparently the bracket's pretty bent. Not a whole lot, but it's pretty bent, and apparently the last person that's in here didn't have a bolt. Those pulleys are actually just pinned on, and they didn't even have a bolt to go back in there. They just used an eye bolt. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get this bracket all the way out of here. See what it looks like. So yeah, them should be lag bolts that just hold it down, or it might be bolts with nuts on the bottom. It's hard to say for sure, but anyhow, we're going to go around underneath and look. We're going to access all the cables on this thing and make sure everything looks good, because this kind of stuff here just scares me. So we did access the brackets on the back end of the camper, and everything looks good here. Everything looks straight. So it looks like that left front corner is the only problem we had. There's a screw missing out of that one there. We'll put that back. But all in all, not too awful bad. I wish whoever had been in here before me had done a better job. We just replace that one bracket and that one cable and be done. Those clamps are notorious for slipping, and that's why I don't. And I mean, they even cut their bolts off, their eye bolts off, so it didn't have any adjustment. You got to be able to adjust these cables when you put them on. So, yeah. All right, we're gonna get this bracket out of here, see how bad it really looks, and we'll go from there. All right, we got the bracket out. It's out here on the box, and as you can see, it's pretty cattywampus. So we're gonna have to get a bracket, and also let me get the spring. There's the push spring that came out of it. That thing should be straight, and it's not. So we got to get a push spring and that one bracket. All right. Well, we're gonna talk to the customer because I really want to do all 4 cables. Because like I say, I like to go to the bigger eye bolt, weld the eye bolts shut, use the cable furls like you're supposed to have, and bracket, spring. So yeah, let's get some parts and then we'll start recabling this thing. I'm really shocked. Say, this is the biggest pop-up I've ever seen, the biggest one I ever worked on. And it's got the exact same cable and brackets if it was a 10-foot pop-up. If it had a 10-foot box instead of a 15-foot box. And it's got an air conditioner on it. So it's just unbelievable that they can lift those tops with those little bitty cables. So, all right. Well, that's going to be it for today. And we'll be back after we get some parts. All right. Bye. Got this one bracket out that's bent that we have to get. Take a minute here and just kind of explain to you how this works. Here's your push spring. We got to get one of those too because it's bent up. Here's the cable that I cut off. This would have typically went, over to that bracket that I showed you that had the 4 eye bolts in it. All right, see this? You can come on a little closer, Cameron. See, it's got what I always call the slug on the end of that cable. So what happens is that square slug goes in there. All right, the push spring goes in this end of that square tube all the way to that slug. Now, just imagine there's a curved bracket in there at the wall. This push spring goes up in the leg. Well, I always call it the leg. This telescoping leg here. This push spring goes up in that, and it goes through that curved bracket in the corner that you saw in the video a little while ago. So what happens is when you're cranking the pop-up up, you're pulling this cable, it pushes that leg up. That's how they work. By a system of pulleys, and it's actually an ingenious system, but that's how it works. When you let it down, of course, just gravity brings it all down. Okay, the top's coming down, and yeah. So when you're letting it down, of course, you're cranking the crank handle down, and you're not actually. It's not power down. It's just gravity. The top's pushing down as you release the pressure on the cable, and it goes down. And that's how they work. It's pretty ingenious. All right, we're gonna get some parts, new parts, and we'll be back later to finish this thing up. Right, welcome back to the All Seasons channel. Well, it is a month later. This is a frustrating part about working on some of these campers. This is a Jayco pop-up, and Jayco is one of those companies that will not sell directly to me or you, probably. They want you to go through your local dealer. Well, I started this a month ago, seen that we had a bad bracket. We needed to get one ordered. We had a bad push spring. We had to get that ordered. So, I have to call Jayco, give them the VIN number, and they give me the part numbers. Then I have to turn around, contact my local dealer, which is, for me, is almost 3 hours north of me. So I have to call them, and I call them. Well, the parts guy, I think I called on a Monday. I know for a fact I called on a Monday. So we started this on a Saturday a month ago. This is Saturday a month later. The parts guy doesn't work on Monday. So I called on Tuesday. Said, hey, I need these parts. He's like, can you just email me those part numbers? I was like, yes. So I email him the part numbers. Then he has to turn around, contact Jayco's parts department, who gave me the part numbers, and then he has to see about the availability and the price on the parts. I said, I don't care about the price. I got to have them. Let's just do it as quickly as possible. Well, then a day or two later, he emails me back, and one of the part numbers that Jayco gave me was not a good part number. I'm like, they just gave it to me. So I had to call Jayco again. Oh, well, the one part number they'd given me was an old part number that was not in the new system yet. We'll send it to the IT department and we'll get this straightened out in a day or two. Seriously? So a day or two. Finally, okay, that's a good part number now. Okay, let's get this stuff ordered. Well, this pusher spring was available on the shelf, but the new bracket 2 to 3 week lead time. Because they don't have these on the shelf. They build them as they need them. Really? So, I just got my parts. It's 1 month later. This my one decent sized bay in my garage here has been tied up for a month with this pop-up. Yeah, me and Cameron could have let it down, closed it all up, took it out, but that's a pain. You know, it is what it is. It's frustrating, but here we are. 1 month later, me and Cameron are ready to knock this thing out. So we're gonna get started. So y'all hang on. All right, we're gonna get the new bracket bolted to the floor without getting any wire or anything under it. Just like that. Alrighty. Okay, Cameron, I'm gonna start putting bolts down through. Knock the camera over.
This is a weird one because it's just so close to the bracket.
Yeah. Yeah, they can be. Brackets are slightly different from the old one for some reason. Like the holes don't line up at all.
That bolt having trouble coming through?
Pardon me?
That bolt having trouble coming through?
Yeah. Watch your eyes just a second. I'm gonna pack it with a hammer. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can get another one started over here. Hang on, let me just go ahead and get the other two done too while we're at it. One more. Okay, you can get all them nuts started if you can. All right, got all 4 bolts in. Now we're gonna get those tightened up. Cameron's underneath, gonna hold the nuts while I tighten the bolts up. You know what, Cameron, I'm gonna actually go grab a socket and ratchet. I'll be right at the back.
All right, you can come out there, bud. All right, we got all 4 of those bolts tightened up. Now we are ready to start recabling this thing.
Whenever you're dealing with your cable, you want to, you don't want to get any kinks in it. Ideally, you know, I would like to just stretch that piece of cable out, but that's 100-foot cable. I don't think it's going to take quite that much, but that's what I bought. So we're going to hang it right there, and as I'm pulling the cable off, Cameron's just going to unwind that and make sure that we don't get any kinks in it, because you just don't want to get kinks in your cable. You want everything to run nice and straight and true, because if you get kinks in your cable, it's just not good. So we're going to try to avoid that at all costs. A few tools here, a few tools that are specific to building these cables. You'll see how I use these in a minute. That's a cutter. I mean, you've got to have some tools if you're going to do this. That cutter right there that cable cutter is worth its weight in gold. And of course I have my crimper. And this is 1/8" cable. We can crimp 4 different sizes cable with this. That's the 1/8" one right there. So another handy dandy tool that you know, we get away from those clamps that you saw previously. And let me grab a ferrule. We will use aluminum ferrules to crimp on that cable, and you'll see what a nice, neat job that they do. We have to do both ends, so you'll see all that.
All right, we are going to get the new spring in first, I guess. Probably actually would have been a little bit easier to have done before we put the bracket in, but it will be all right, because it's a spring, so it's fairly flexible. So yeah, we just need to get this run down through this new bracket with run it through the tube. Get all of my body back in here. Started in that square tube, and then it should just put it right in, just like that. Oh, you probably couldn't see nothing. Alright, got the new bracket in. I actually had to make a button for the end of that spring. I tried to order one, but they gave me the wrong part number. So I got the wrong part, so I made that. It'll work. Well, I'm already bleeding somewhere. Button in the end of the spring. Get that spring started up in there. I gotta grease that spring, just because you gotta make it all slicky. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get the, let's see here. I'll go ahead and grease. Now I'm going to slide the spring in first, all the way. Oh, up the other all the way in, man. Let's see here. That'll be fine. Alright. Now I'm going to get Cameron to give me the end of that cable. We're going to get the new cable. We can't use the old cable to pull the new cable in on this one because we don't have the old cable. It was broken. So say, just the whole thing, but just make sure it unrolls. Alrighty. So, move you, see if you can see what's going on. Let's just try this. No, I'm gonna have to do this. No, I can do it this way. It's not the most ideal way to do this, but like I say, this one here, at least it's the shortest. It's the shortest cable. So we can just shove it through like this until it comes out the other end. I bet it's through the other end. Let me look. Oh yeah, it's through. I like a mile. All right, let me get you turned around here. Okay, Cameron, we're done right there for right now. We're done for right now. Now, get this party started. Here's our slug. It goes in the end of that square tube. So we just need to put a furrow on the end of this cable. Well, let's just do it. So it just gets doubled around on itself like this. Hope that you can see what I'm doing. Alright, there we go, fine. And then just take and pull this through. This one here, you want to just get it as tight as possible. See, I pulled that, you know, as hard as I could. Got that thing as tight as possible. Now, get our crimper out, open it up as far as it will go, and get this furrow in here, and we crimp it. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Crimp it 3 times. Once on the end, once on the middle, in the middle, and once on the other end. Just like so. All right, now there's a proper cable furl. See how nice and neat that is? Now we're going to put our slug on the end of this. Just going to go in the middle of this slug. In theory, that's the way it would work. There we go. See, it just goes in the slug, and then we slide the spring in a little bit, And it's actually important how you put this slug in, because this cable will ride through one corner of this bracket, and that will align it with the pulley on the other end. It'd make perfect sense if you were doing it yourself. It's kind of hard to show you, but like I say, it would make, if you actually had your head in here like mine, it would make perfect sense to you. So we put our slug in, and then get your guys turned around. We're going to start greasing that spring a little bit. These springs are actually, this is a brand new spring, so it needs a little grease on it. So try and do this without making a giant mess. Don't need a whole lot of grease on it. Oh, sorry. Kind of tough on you guys. Now we can actually just use the cable, pull things through here, pull through a few inches, a little more grease on it. Tough on you guys, man. Sorry. Hopefully y'all don't get seasick. This grease it'll spread around everywhere, sure. The other 3 springs we probably won't have to grease because they're not new springs. They have grease on them. Alright, we should be really close to where we're going. I'm going to just figure out how long this cable needs to be and cut it a little bit longer, because I got to get it up in this bracket around this pulley where it needs to be. And since this cable's 100 feet long, it means I've got to cut this one off. I got that cable cut off on the end. Stick it up in this bracket here. Up by the pulley, like so. The spring comes sliding back out. That's okay. No big deal. Right. Now, this is another place where you want to make sure that everything is in its proper place, because everything needs to work. These cables need to stay straight, so we need to figure out which one of these is our left front and which is our right front. Let me see here. Okay, so this is going to be the left front. This is the one with the new bracket, and this is going to be the right front. These pop-up manufacturers, I think I've already talked about this, but I'm not sure, it was a whole month ago. They put 1/4-inch eye bolts in these, and like I say, this is the first one I think I've ever tore apart that the eye bolts weren't all stretched out on it. So I'm going to drill this little bracket out. I've got 5/16 eye bolts to go back in here. And I know it's just a 1/16 of an inch, but it seems like it makes a big difference. I've never seen I've never seen a 5/16 eye bolt bent up yet. Yeah, and for some reason when somebody recabled this thing, they cut these bolts, they cut these eye bolts off, so there was no adjustment. I don't know what their reasoning was behind that. I really don't understand that one at all. All right. See how short that eye bolt is? I mean, they cut it off purposely like that. I don't know. There's the one that was in there. And there's the one we're putting in. Got a little more adjustment on this one. I don't know. People do some strange things. All right, so yeah, we're gonna try and drill this bracket out without breaking any fingers. I know you guys probably not gonna be able to see much, but well, maybe I can move you. Now you can see. If I break a finger, you'll know it. Put it in high gear so we can really draw some blood. Dad's toolbox, bottom drawer, top box. Get me a pair of vice grips. Maybe I won't bleed so bad.
That's a good alternative.
Takes all the fun out of it. Must be the dullest drill bit in the box. Give me that 5/16 drill bit. Okay. This is one size bigger. Just get me the 5/16. See if it's any better. Can't be no worse. That was a much better drill bit. Let's see if our eye bolts will fit in that. And they do. That will be perfect enough. Alright, don't forget to put a nut on your eye bolt to start with, because it takes one on both sides of that bracket so you can lock it down. Put your eye bolt in and get you a nut started on the back. And we're going to leave this bolt as long as possible. Just going to get that nut started. Get about it. Just get the eye bolt, to the end of the nut. And we're going to double check and make sure which one is which here. And yes, this is going to be the left front. Just going to put our cable in there. Get us another ferrule. And the ferrule up on there. We'll try something a little bit different here. Give me a black Sharpie. Alright, now I am going to pull this as tight as I can, mark it, with a Sharpie so that we'll know that nothing slipped, and you'll understand why here in a minute, I believe. So I'm just going to pull that, as hard as I can. Mark this with a Sharpie, nice and bold. And I'm going to try to, without damaging the cable in any way, try to clamp this cable off like so. I'm going to pull our eye bolt back out real quick. And crimp this ferrule. Okay. Nice and gently so nothing moves. As soon as you get this crimped one time, we'll get the vice grips out of the way. And get our other two crimps on there. And there we have it. Nice tight crimp. It's through our eye bolt. We'll take and cut our two Sharpie marks are still lined up. Hopefully you can see those. So we know for a fact nothing slipped. We should be good to go. Eye bolt put back in here, the nut started. Like so. All right, there we have cable number 1. 3 more to go. I'm not going to show you the whole process of building 3 more cables. The only thing I will show you here in a minute is let's pulling the new cable in using the old cable. So, but I'm going to cut you off for a few minutes, and I'll be back when I get ready to pull a new cable in. All right, we've actually we're on the last cable now. We already pulled one of the long ones in, and now we're getting ready to pull the last one in. Show you how we do that. It's pretty simple. Take the old cable and the new cable, overlap them about 3 or 4 inches, and just tape them together. I'm sure there's probably better ways of doing this, but it's just how I've always done it. It's never been an issue. Just wrap your tape nice and tight, and you want to go 3 or 4 inches in front of the joint, and then go 3 or 4 inches past it the other direction. I know y'all can't see what I'm doing. Trust me, I'm just taping these 2 pieces of cable together. Like I say, try and keep your tape as tight as possible. You don't want to put too much tape on it, because you'll make it too thick. just like so. All right, we got, once you get the two pieces of the old cable and the new cable tied together, you got to push this spring out. It'll come out the other end of the tube, the square tube. I'll show you that in a minute. This is the hardest one to reach. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I have no idea. I can't see the camera. Barely reach this spring. Be getting near the end. It's getting hard. I just take a screwdriver and push on that spring. It's pretty easy to get a hold of if you can reach the spring. There it is. Oh, where you guys going? Oh, I know you probably can't see it today. Well, just trust me. I push the spring out. Eventually it's going to come out this end. It's going to come out this end right here with the slug. And I'll show you that now. Okay. So there's our slug. There's our slug. Came out the end of the tube. Alright, we are going to pull the new cable in from this direction. So hang tight. I know y'all probably really not going to be able to see much, but we're going to pull the new cable in, and maybe you'll be able to see what we're doing here. I don't know. Okay, camera. Here we go.
Alright, I'm ready.
Okay, I don't know if you could see anything. The other rear cable's the one I should have filmed, but because you could see it and get to it. But here's what we've done. We pulled a new cable in. There's our splice where we hooked the old cable and the new cable together. Now we'll just take this tape off. You saw us build that first cable, so we'll put a furrow in here, and for our slug, put our slug on and start sliding together. So we showed you the first one, so I'm not going to show you any more of that. Now once we get all the cables in, all you do is go around and measure each and every corner, and go in and you adjust those eye bolts until all four corners are basically the same, and then you're done. Just lock down your jam nuts, and we're finishing putting the cabinets together inside now. We've already got it adjusted up. We're going to finish putting our cabinets together, and then we are going to run it all the way down and all the way up, verify that our measurements are stayed the same, and if they're the same, we'll go back inside to those eye bolts, and we've got jam nuts, got nuts on both sides of that bracket. We'll
We'll jam them things down and this thing will be done. Alright, we'll come back. We'll let you, when we get ready to run it up and down, we'll let you come back for that. Alright, all four corners measured out just right, so we're good to go. So there you have it. There's replacing the cables on your pop-up camper. I know this is a Jayco. A lot of the other manufacturers are using the exact same mechanism. Can't think of them right now, but we see more Jaycos in this part of the world than anything else. So that's usually what we see. So hey, thanks for watching. I know this is probably going to end up being a fairly long video. If you've made it all the way to the end, thank you very much. Don't forget to go down there and leave me a comment, concern, criticism. Give me a thumbs up, and we're going to go down the road and fix another one.